Hi and welcome to the Sew Essential vlog. I'm Lucy and I'm here today to talk you through everybody's favourite thing, fabric. So I'm going to talk you through how to choose the right dressmaking fabric for your project. So this is a question we get asked time and time again by our customers. We stock a huge range of fabrics on our website, all different types. You can find the link to our website below and you can shop till your heart's content choosing all those beautiful fabrics. But even the experienced sewists sometimes come forward and say to us, you know, I just stick with the same fabrics all the time because I'm too scared to try something different. I'm too scared to try something new. And then of course there's the beginners who often get in touch with us and say, oh, I don't know where to start. I don't know what I should be doing. So we thought it'd be a really useful video for lots and lots of people to talk through how to get that right, because let's face it, it can really make or break a project. You know, it's a really good idea to get a good fabric for your project to give it the best chance of being successful, you being happy with it and wanting to wear it. So what I'm going to do in the video is first of all talk through the sort of basic rationale behind choosing the right dressmaking fabric. So just some common sense sort of pointers that aren't immediately obvious, but then when you hear them they are quite obvious, so it can be a bit of a light bulb moment just talking through those. We'll also briefly touch on the information on the pattern packet. We'll talk specifically about knit and jersey fabrics, and then we'll go on to talking about the main types of dressmaking fabric. So it's by no means an exhaustive list. It's not going to include every dressmaking fabric you'll ever come across, but it will cover a lot of the most common types that you'll find. And what we'll do is we'll talk about what they are useful for, what sorts of garments you might want to make with them, how easy they are to sew, any sort of issues you need to be aware of. And I've made garments in most of the different fabric types, so I've brought those in to show you so that you can see those fabrics brought to life, made up into garments. All of the garments that I talk about are on our blog as well, and the link to our blog is below. So if you want to go on and have a look at some photos of them and see me wearing them, you can do that. For any fabrics that I haven't sewn with yet, because there are a few, I'm going to just show you the fabric bolts themselves. But yeah, that should give you lots and lots of information and bring everything to life. If you then want to go back and have a nice handy reference guide, there's actually within a blog post on our blog, which I'll also link to, I wrote an article about this topic, and there's a lovely table with the fabric types, the main fabric types in it, that summarises all that information beautifully. So if you want to have a reference guide to go back to at a later date once you've watched the video, you can just bookmark that and that's there for you as well. And then we'll run through a few last just general pointers, and then hopefully you'll be fully armed and ready to go and tackle all sorts of different kinds of fabrics and get more adventurous with your sewing. So a great place to start with understanding choosing fabrics is to think about what makes different fabrics suitable for different garments. And I think a great place to start with this, and also generally with sort of discovering sewing techniques and thinking about hemming and all those sorts of things, is to look in your wardrobe and look at your ready to wear items, because you'll probably find you've got a whole range of different fabric types in there, different finishes, all that sort of thing. So it can give you a lot of clues and a lot of ideas as to which fabrics will work for which different types of garments. It's also important to think that you need to think about the characteristics of the garment as well, rather than the garment type, because what you'll find is you could perhaps think, for example, oh well, all jackets would need to be made from a relatively stiff suiting fabric, but that's not always the case. And I've got an example here for you. So I've got a tailored suit jacket here which has been made in a suiting fabric, and it needed to have structure. You know, it didn't want to drape, it wanted to be nice and structured. But then equally I've got jackets at home like this one, which is a rain jacket, which is very, very drapey, very loose fitting, and just a completely different look altogether. So although they're both classed as jackets, they're entirely different from one another. So it's a good idea to start thinking through, first of all, I think the drape is very, very important, and the movement and how you want the garment to hang. Also think about the silhouette you want to achieve, whether it needs to be structured and angular or whether you want it to loosely hang and flow. Also think about, does the fabric need to be opaque? I mean, most people wouldn't want to make a pair of trousers in something sheer, but you might be happy to wear a sheer blouse, for example. Also, does it need to be strong and hard wearing? You know, a lot of people prefer to make trousers in a more hard wearing fabric, like a cotton drill or a denim, for example, because they're going to withstand this pressure and the hard work that trousers have to go through every day, and just give us that bit more security in that area as well. So they're just some general pointers for you to think through, and really it is a process of elimination. But I also think it's useful as well to, once you've done that exercise and you've been through and started to think about the sort of basic rationale, turn it on its head and think about the garments that you looked at and think about why they'd look so dreadful in other types of fabric, and you'll start to really get a good feel then for how to pair the fabrics and the patterns together. So once you've done your detective work in your wardrobe, a good place to think about next is the pattern packet. So this might sound incredibly obvious to people who've been sewing for a long time, but we've got to remember there's some beginners out there that might not realise how much information is on the pattern packet. Starting with, there's often a photo on the front which will give you an idea of what the finished garment should look like, how it should fit, how it should drape, how it should hang, so you'll start to get a feel straight away of what sort of fabric might be suitable for the garment. Then on the back of the packet there's usually a list of suggested fabrics, and we do include all of this information with our sewing patterns on our website. The link to our website's below, so you can see that when you're choosing your pattern as well. Now as you become more experienced, you might think, oh actually, if those are suitable fabrics, I know this one will work as well, I'm going to use that instead. But if you're a beginner or if you're not entirely sure, you know, it usually is quite a long list of suitable fabrics, so you can find lots and lots of inspiration and ideas there. So it will also tell you how much fabric you need. So based on most dressmaking fabrics, either come in a 45-inch width or a 60-inch width, and then there will be suggestions for you based on your size that you've chosen for what meterage or yardage you need, depending on whether you're buying a fabric that's 45 inches wide or 60 inches wide. It will also tell you as well if it's a pattern where, if you want to pattern match, you might need extra fabric if you're working with checks or stripes or a directional print, for example. So it really is a wealth of knowledge and information. There are patterns that are designed for knit fabrics as well, and on those patterns you'll often find the pick and knit test, which runs along the bottom of the packet here. So if you can see this black line here, what I would need to do is hold a piece of stretch fabric that fits that width of the black bar, and then if I could stretch this end, when keeping it in place there, if I could stretch that end to where the next arrow is here, then that would tell me that that fabric has enough stretching to make that pattern. So I'll just show you how that works with, I've got a bit of jersey fabric here, so that's the way the stretch is going. So if I was to hold, and I would do this flat on a table, I'm just holding it up to show you, but if I was to hold the fabric like that so that it just comes to the end of the black arrow there, I'm not stretching it at all, I'm just lying it flat on the packet, and then I keep it in position with my right hand but pull my left hand, I can see that that fabric there will stretch, that length, initial shorter length of fabric will stretch all the way to the other arrow and beyond actually. So I know that there's definitely enough stretch in this fabric to make this pattern. And it's really important that you check that, because with knit and jersey patterns, they are designed with negative ease. So what that means is the finished garment will actually be slightly smaller than your body measurements, and that's to account for the fact that you are making it in a stretchy fabric, so it will stretch to fit your body. So if you were to make a knit pattern in a woven fabric, you could end up with something that's far too tight or just doesn't fit at all. And then vice versa, a woven pattern could look really terrible made up in a knit fabric because it would be too baggy, too loose, you know, the bust darts might be too low, those sorts of problems. Having said that, it is possible to convert patterns to use a woven fabric for a knit, or a knit fabric for a woven, for example. And there are sort of different methodologies and formulas that people use to calculate those things. So that's something that you might want to research if you're a bit more advanced. But if you're starting out or if you're not confident, just stick with what's suggested on the pattern packet would be my advice. Okay, so now let's run through some of the most common types of dressmaking fabric that you'll come across. So as I said, this is by no means an exhaustive list. There's lots of other types out there as well, but I've picked out sort of the most readily available ones, the most common ones that you'll see people sewing with. I should also mention that all of the fabrics on our website, the link to our website below, are categorised by fabric type, so they're really easy to find. And then we've also included filters on some of them so that you can filter by print design perhaps, or fabric type, just to make life a little bit easier. But let's get started with good old cotton, which is one of the most common dressmaking fabrics, very readily available, probably the thing that most people start out with as a beginner because it's very easy to sew. And there's a few different types that I just want to share with you. The first one is cotton poplin. So this is a lovely cotton poplin from Rose and Hubble. It's got limited drape, you know, it's not overly drapey, but then it's not massively stiff and structured either. So it is suitable for things like dresses, skirts and shirts as well. Would be good to make with cotton poplin. It's sort of a nice light to medium weight fabric. It's natural fibres, so it's great for the summer months or for shirts and things in the winter if you're going to layer them with cardigans. Then you've probably also heard of cotton lawn. So here's a skirt that I made in cotton lawn, and I've made lots and lots of garments in cotton lawn. So cotton lawn generally is a little bit more lightweight than cotton poplin. It's a little bit more drapey, a little bit more flowy. So I've made things like blouses and dresses with ruffles on, and it's worked really well for that, whereas the cotton poplin probably would be a little bit too structured for that. So that's an example of cotton lawn. And again, obviously natural fibres, nice and cool, great for summer, and again, great for sort of dresses and skirts, lots of dress and skirt patterns and that sort of thing. People also make blouses and tops in it as well. And then I've lined this skirt with polycotton, which is another type of cotton fabric. So polycotton is generally a bit stiffer again, so a bit more like cotton poplin in terms of the drape and the movement. You know, it isn't a particularly drapey, lightweight cotton. This cotton lawn it's very, very soft and very fluid, whereas the polycotton underneath is much more like the cotton poplin. It's a little bit stiffer, and actually that worked really well as the lining for this skirt because it just gave it a little bit of volume, which I really liked. That's why I chose that. Generally your polycotton will be cheaper as well, so we've got some on the site in a range of different colours, and it generally is a very cheap fabric. But again, both of those cottons really easy to sew with and very easy to wear. And then the other type of cotton fabric I wanted to show you is cotton sateen. So often this might have this was a John Caldor cotton sateen. Often it will have like a very slight sort of almost sheen to it. It will feel very, very soft. And sometimes it will have a little bit of stretching as well. This one had a little bit of give in it. So it's great for things like, as long as it's got enough stretch, it's great for like fitted trousers. I made this fitted pencil skirt in it. It worked really well for that. And again, just a lovely sort of lightweight, cool summer fabric that you can make a variety of garments in. This also would work really well for things like fit and flare dresses and that sort of thing, maybe where you wanted a nice fitted body, but then a skirt with a little bit of volume, because it isn't as drapey. There isn't as much movement in this cotton sateen as there is in a cotton lawn. So it's, you know, you can achieve a little bit more structure with that fabric as well. The next fabric type I want to show you is chiffon. So I haven't made anything in chiffon, but Angela, who's my mother-in-law and founder of Sew Essential, she's made lots and lots of things in chiffon over the years. So here we've got an example for you of some John Caldor chiffon. So as you can see, it's a beautiful lightweight, super drapey, super fluid fabric. It's sheer, so you need to bear that in mind. So it's suitable for, sorry, I should say first of all, it comes in, there's polyester chiffons like this one. You can also get nylon chiffons and silk chiffons as well. And it's suitable for things like, you can make a lovely pussy bow blouse in this. You could make like an overlay for an evening dress. You could also make lingerie and nightwear and that sort of thing, and also scarves as well. And I think a scarf would be a really good starting point for working with chiffon, because it is a more difficult fabric to sew with, so it does require more advanced sewing skills. So you need to bear in mind various different things, like you might want to change the needle plate on your machine to avoid the fabric being chewed up by the machine. You might need to change your needle. You will possibly want to use a walking foot, and I'm not going to go into all the tips now, but there are just considerations for working with this type of fabric and getting the best results. So if you want to have a go and it's the first time you've worked with it, why not make a nice chiffon scarf as a starting point? And that's something that's nice and easy, so you can perfect those techniques. Onto another natural fibre fabric now, linen. So linen is a natural fibre, it's lovely and cool, it's absorbent, it does crease quite badly, so that's one thing to consider with linen. If you can't stand creases, it probably isn't the fabric for you, but lots and lots of people really like it because it is a nice lightweight cool fabric, especially in warmer climates. It's easy to sew with as well, and it's made from natural fibres. Now it usually has a fairly good amount of movement and drape. There are linens that can be stiffer, but generally it will have some movement and drape to it, although it does vary, as I say, it depends on how heavyweight the linen is. But it's great for making things like skirts, trousers, shirts, jackets. You'll find a wide range of garments made in linen. Now we don't have any linen here, but we do have a linen look fabric. So this is a polyester linen mix. So obviously if you're somebody who really prefers the natural fibres, this has got polyester in it, so this probably isn't for you. But what that does mean is it doesn't crease as easily as the 100% linen does, and it's got a sort of loose weave, so it's still very breathable, but it's got a nice amount of drape, as you can see, and it would be suitable for all of those garment sort of types that I talked about, depending on the characteristics, obviously, as we talked about earlier in the video. Then I want to talk about polyester. So polyester, you can get polyester mixes like polyester viscose or just 100% polyester fabrics. Now an example of one of these is our John Caldor Hermione fabric, and I've got a jumpsuit that I made in a polyester, the Hermione polyester here. So lots of them have got a good amount of drape and movement. They're quite fluid, making them ideal for things like this loose fitting jumpsuit, also blouses, dresses, skirts, that sort of thing. You will find that a lot of the clothes in your wardrobe that are ready to wear, unless you're particularly anti-polyester, there'll be a lot of polyester items in there. So yeah, this was 100% polyester. It can be, I wouldn't say like you need to be an advanced sewer to sew with polyester, but it's a little bit more tricky than sewing with cotton, for example, just because it can be a little bit slippery, so it doesn't always behave the way you want it to. So you might choose to use a walking foot or change your foot, for example, to get the best results with it. But that's an example of 100% polyester in that jumpsuit there. Then another type of polyester fabric I want to talk to you about is crepe de chine. So I love crepe de chine. I think it's such a beautiful, luxurious fabric. So again, this was a John Caldor fabric. This is a blouse I made. As you can see, often it will have this lovely sort of sheen, shiny effect to it. It's sort of it feels like a satin really, and it drapes and moves beautifully. It's got absolutely excellent sort of drape, making it perfect for things like blouses or flowy dresses or skirts that you might want to make. Again, this one can be quite tricky to sew with, and I did write a blog post actually all about sewing with slippery fabrics, where I gave people my top tips for working with these sorts of fabrics, so you can check that out. And then another type of polyester fabric is just crepe. So crepe comes in a wide range of sort of weights. You can get light, medium and heavyweight crepe. This is our medium weight John Caldor crepe. So again, this fabric's got lots of lovely drape and movement in it, and it's relatively easy to sew with a standard crepe like this, but you can get satin back crepes as well, so sometimes they can be a little bit more tricky to sew with because they can be a little bit slippery. But again, this sort of fabric, I mean this medium weight fabric you could use for blouses, but it's probably better suited to dresses in my opinion. I mean, people might differ, but then a lighter weight crepe would probably be okay for blouses. But I have made blouses in medium weight crepe as well. Again, it depends on the blouse, how structured you want it to be, how much you want it to drape and move. So there's an example of some medium weight crepe. As an alternative to polyester, you can choose to work with viscose fabrics, or sometimes called rayon. So this is for people who prefer to work with natural fibres, although sometimes the natural fibres are mixed with other fibres as well, so they're not always 100% natural. But I've made loads and loads of things in viscose fabric. I absolutely love it. And you can get different types. You can get very, very lightweight, almost like cotton lawny feeling viscose fabrics. You can also get sort of slightly heavier weight viscose fabrics that are almost got like a slubby feel to them. And then I've also worked with viscose fabrics that have got like almost like a shiny finish and a dobby effect on them. So I've bought a couple of garments to show you. One thing that is worth pointing out is it can crease quite badly, viscose fabric can, because it's a natural fibre. Not all of them do, but this one for example, I haven't had a chance to iron this, but this is a cami top which has creased a little bit in the back of the car, but I've worn this loads, and actually once I'm wearing it, it's absolutely fine. But you can see there how much drape and movement there is in that, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful fabric to wear. It just feels so cool in the summer months against your skin. So that was one with a sort of dobby, silky finish to it, which I absolutely loved. And then this is one of the ones with like a more slubby finish to it. I made this wrap dress, and as you can see, I mean, I love wearing this dress. It's a midi length, and when you move and walk around in this, you just feel like, oh, the fabric's just like gliding around behind you. It's just absolutely beautiful. I love, love, love wearing that. Viscose fabrics can be a little bit more tricky to sew with, again, like the polyesters. You know, sometimes they can be a bit slippery, so they probably like require intermediate sewing skills. But again, you know, you could choose to make something very, very simple, like the cami top that I just showed you. That was an Ogden cami. You could choose to make something very, very simple your first time, just to test the water and see how you go. Or the other thing you can do is, if ever you get goodie bags, or like you go to a shop and you get like those bins with like fabric for £1 in it or whatever, get some really cheap versions of the fabrics and try practicing on those, perhaps just to practice your skills. So all the fabrics we've talked about so far have been woven fabrics, and now we're going to talk about some knit fabrics. And again, I absolutely love sewing with knits, and I know this is something that a lot of people get really worried about, but all I can say to you is I took the plunge early doors. I just thought I'm going to just have a go and see what happens, and my first knit project wasn't amazing. There were a few learning points along the way, but I've never looked back since then. And you know, it is a very easy to wear fabric. You'll find that lots of the ready-to-wear clothes we buy nowadays are knit. You know, it's comfortable. A lot of them are breathable. They're just awesome fabrics to work with. So definitely, if you've been scared of knits, give them a go. But I'll just show you some of the main different types now. So first of all, we've got cotton jersey. So this is a lark tee that I made in a cotton jersey. And I think, you know, you can get different weights of cotton jersey. So this is a John Caldor, and it's a really beautiful quality. We're getting lots of new colours going on the website in this fabric very shortly. shortly actually. So it is sort of a slightly heavier weight cotton jersey. You can get some very, very lightweight ones, so you just need to be aware of that. But it's ideal for lots and lots of different purposes. Obviously it's natural fibres and it's breathable. And it, you know, t-shirts, dresses, skirts, all of that sort of thing. You can make a wide range of garments with a nice cotton jersey. Then I also have got a wool jersey to show you. So this is our Isabella wool jersey. Again, John Caldor, synonymous with absolutely fantastic quality, super soft, lots of drape and movement in this one, and really, really lovely to wear, and ideal again for, I've made like turtlenecks, I've made dresses, you could make t-shirts, you could make skirts if you wanted to, that were sort of drapey and flowy. So that's a good example of a wool jersey. Then I've also brought in some examples of, this is a viscose jersey. So this is very, very drapey jersey fabric, lots and lots of movement and fluidity in that fabric, as you can see, and ideal for things like this romper jumpsuit, loose fitting jumpsuit, that romper, whatever you want to call it, that I made from a holiday recently. Perfect for dresses and skirts where you might want lots of movement and fluidity. Tops as well, you could make a wide range of garments with the viscose jersey fabric, and it's lovely and cool in the summer as well, thanks to it being made with natural fibres. Again, as I said earlier, you know, a lot of these viscose fabrics, they'll have other fibres in there as well, so they're not always 100% natural, but yeah, that's an example of a viscose jersey. I also brought in an example of a polyester jersey. So this is a John Caldor Porsche fabric, which we've got lots of Porsche on the site now. This one went a long time ago, but I made a Salt Spring dress by Sewaholic with this one, because again, fabulous amount of drape and movement, so fluid, ideal for a lovely sort of sundress like this, and that would be ideal for the viscose jersey as well. So that's an example of one of those. And then at the other end of the scale, all the ones I've shown you so far, bar the sort of cotton jersey, wasn't as fluid and as drapey as the other jerseys, but they've all had quite a lot of movement and fluidity. But then at the other end of the scale, you've got Ponte, and which is this skirt here, and then you've got Scuba as well, which I've made this skirt in. So these are generally a bit more weighty than the other types of jersey, and they are better for things like these mini skirts, or with Scuba you can create some really sort of structured designs as well. You can create skirts that sort of flare out, depending again on the Scuba, because you know, with all of these things there's no hard and fast rules. You'll always be able to find something that varies and is slightly different, but this is just to give you a bit of a general overview. So they're sort of at the other end of the scale, so patterns that just require something to be a little bit heavier weight and a little bit more structured. Your Scubas and your Pontes would be better suited for those. And as I said, you know, sewing with knits, they do require intermediate sewing skills, I would say. You know, they're not dead straightforward and dead easy. If you're sewing on a sewing machine, there's certain things you'll need to do. You might want to use a walking foot, you'll need to use a ballpoint or a stretch needle, you'll need to use stretch interfacing. You know, there's a few different things you can do just to make sure that you get really good results. Or you can make, which I do, I make all my stretch garments on an overlocker, and that's a really good way to tackle them as well. But don't be put off, guys, just have a go, because it's so worth it. One of my other all-time favourite fabrics to sew with is denim. Everyone loves denim. It's just like a staple item for your wardrobe, isn't it? And I personally think as well, it's a really satisfying sew. I don't know what it is about it. Perhaps because a lot of the projects you do top stitching, and you might be doing like fly front zips and just techniques that are a little bit more advanced and a little bit more interesting, I think makes it a really satisfying sew. So there's two main types of denim, stretch denim or rigid denim, and then both of those come in a variety of weights as well, from lightweight right through to heavyweight. So when you're choosing a denim, you just need to obviously consult the pattern packet if you're using a sewing pattern, but just think about what sort of characteristics the garment you're making is going to have, and whether you need that denim to be a harder wearing, heavier weight, or whether it needs to be a lighter weight. So if you wanted to make, for example, a dress, you might want to choose a lighter weight denim for that. But then if you were making a jacket or some jeans, you might want to choose a medium or a heavyweight denim for those, just because of the nature of the garment. So that's just something to consider. I've just brought in my recent nest skirt that I made, a Tilly and the Buttons nest skirt, and I made this in a stretch denim, which just meant, because it's a little bit fitted, it just gave it a little bit of give around the hips and the bum, which is always handy. But you can use, I find, stretch denims for patterns that just say they are for rigid denims. You can often get away with a stretch denim with those patterns, not always, you know, and you do need to read the pattern instructions carefully. And I certainly wouldn't use a rigid denim for a pattern that suggests a stretch denim. But the other way round, like if you're making a denim jacket, for example, you probably could get away with using a stretch denim there. It won't matter too much because there isn't a huge amount of stretch in a lot of them anyway. So it's a firm weave fabric. Generally, none of them have very much drape or movement. I think this one was classed as a medium weight denim, but even a lot of the lighter weight denims as well, they won't be sort of incredibly drapey or have much fluidity to them. If you're looking for something like that, then you'd be looking more at a chambray fabric, which will have a lot more fluidity and movement. But denims, you know, your lighter weight denims are great for things like shirts, blouses, dresses, that sort of thing. But then your medium and heavier weights are better for your skirts and your trousers, your jeans, your jackets and that sort of thing. In terms of sewing skills, really, I think that denim is pretty straightforward. I think it's a good one for people to try. You do need to make sure you're using the right needle, so that's important. But you know, certainly a rigid denim is easy to sew with and get started with. Plus you've got loads of old denim probably in your house or in your wardrobe that you could rip up and have a practice with and have a go with. So go forth and have a go with some denim. Another fabric I haven't worked with before but I love very, very, very deeply is lace. So we've got an example here of a John Caldor stretch lace. I think everybody will be familiar with what lace is and what it looks like. Obviously you get different designs in terms of the print or the design that you can see. This is a stretch lace, it's Perugia, so this is ideal for things like lingerie that you might want to make, or nightwear or that sort of thing. It can be used as well for dressmaking for normal garments. But then also we've got this delightful toca lace, which isn't a stretch lace. Such beautiful colour range in this one, it's just absolutely gorgeous. And we've got matching linings or fabrics that you can pair it with so that you can make a lace overlay and then put something underneath. But yes, lace has got lots and lots of drape and movement again. Comes in a sort of wide range of beautiful designs, and I'm sure you'll be fully aware that often we make things like blouses, overlays on dresses, evening wear, that sort of thing with lace you'll see made up in it. It probably does require some more advanced sewing skills, and there's lots and lots of tips and tutorials you can find on the internet for that, so get on and have a look before you tackle the lace. But definitely worth having a go with. I need to get around to tackling that one myself. And then another sort of fabric that we usually associate with evening wear or more formal dressing is satin. and I brought in this dress that I made in a beautiful John Caldor satin that we had a couple of years ago to show you. So again, you're probably familiar with this super silky, soft, luxurious feel to satin. The weights and drapes of satin can vary. You know, there's different sort of weights and there's different sort of drapes. But yeah, often used for things like dresses and blouses, for more formal wear or more dressy items. You know, you can get nice lightweight satins that you might use to make a blouse, for example, and this is probably more of a medium weight satin, so it worked really well for this shift dress. What I would say about the satin is that definitely does require some more advanced sewing skills as well, because like the crepe de chine that I mentioned earlier and some of the polyesters, some of the viscose fabrics, you know, they can be slippery and a little bit more difficult to manage, so just worth bearing that in mind. But with all of these fabrics, don't be afraid to have a go, because it might be a bit tricky and it might take a bit of practice, but you will get there in the end, and by doing that, you know, you'll just broaden your horizons for dressmaking. So my top tips are just sort of trying different feet and things if you're having problems. Always check what type of needle you should be using. Try a walking foot if things are slipping around and moving. But there's lots and lots of tips about sewing with slippery fabrics, as I mentioned earlier in one of the blog posts on our blog. A couple of other really uber luxurious fabrics are taffeta, which again I haven't sewn with personally. Angela has sewn with lots of this. So this is a very firm weave on taffeta. So there is limited drape with it and limited movement. So this is great for creating garments with the wow factor. Lots of people create things like evening dresses with big skirts on them, for example, because the firm weave allows you to create structure and some quite sort of interesting silhouettes, I guess, with this fabric. You can get polyester or viscose or rayon taffetas. This is a polyester one, and again, you know, it would generally be used, because it is such a luxurious fabric, it would generally be used for evening wear, and again it would require some more advanced sewing skills to work with that, but certainly worth having a go. I think that teal colour is just absolutely beautiful. It comes in a range of colours, that one does as well. And then another gorgeous fabric that we often associate with evening wear, although actually in the last couple of years it's been really popular just for day-to-day wear as well, is velvet. So we have this gorgeous new velvet fabric on the site, which has got this incredible print on it. It's called Cobra Corsage, and it's just so silky, soft and gorgeous. Lots and lots of drape and movement in velvet. We've got a number of plain velvets on the website as well. You can get velvets which are made with cotton, polyester, viscose. There's a silk as well, silk velvet, so you can get a whole range of different types of velvet, but all of them should be very sort of drapey and fluid, and they should be soft. They will have a pile, which you have to watch out for, so if you brush the fibres one way it'll be nice and silky and smooth, and if you brush them the other way it will feel coarse, so that's just something to bear in mind when you're working with it. But this is traditionally used, as I said, for evening wear. You know, you would often see like bodysuits or gorgeous evening dresses or skirts made in velvet. But then in recent years, I've seen people rocking really cool sweatshirts in velvet. I've seen tracksuit bottoms. There was a girl who made some brilliant like tracksuit bottoms in our John Caldor navy velvet last year or the year before. So I think there's lots and lots of possibilities with it. It is a fabric that requires, again, more advanced sewing skills. So I wrote a whole blog post on sewing with velvet, and you can find the link to that below. And you know, with all of these things, if you just follow the tips and the advice, then actually, you know, there's no reason why you can't have a go with it and get you some of that velvet action. Last up, I'm going to talk to you about wool. So there's lots of different variants of common wools. So you've got things like boiled wool, worsted wool, wool jersey, wool crepe, and the drape and the fluidity and the movement will depend on the weight of the wool. So I've got an example here of some boiled wool for you, which would traditionally be used for things like coats and jackets. And this is because it's got the right sort of weight for coats and jackets, whereas your wool jersey, for example, I showed you earlier, the Isabella wool jersey is very, very much lighter weight, and that would be more suitable for clothing like jumpers and dresses and that sort of thing. And then you've also got wools which are more like wool crepe, would be more like a crepe sort of weight fabric, and would be more suitable for like skirts and suits and that sort of thing. So there is a lot of variety with wool, but you need to bear that in mind when you're choosing a wool for a project. And the other thing to bear in mind is that you will need to treat it specially in terms of preparing it, pressing it and all of those things. And as usual, there are tons and tons of tips and advice on how to do that online, so get on and have a look at that and just have a go. I'm going to be making a wool mix coat this winter. I keep saying this, I haven't started it yet, but I am determined that at some point this winter I will take the plunge and get on with it. I just need to catch up with all my other sewing first. So I hope you enjoyed that whistle-stop tour of the most common dressmaking fabrics, or some of the most common dressmaking fabrics. Once you've had a think about what fabrics might be suitable for your project, there's a few other considerations that you might just want to bear in mind. So firstly, some people prefer natural fibres to man-made fibres, as I mentioned earlier in the video quite a lot. I'm quite happy to interchange between the two, and I think they all have a purpose, but I know some people have a preference with regards to that. The other thing to consider is the care instructions. So we always put care instructions on all of our fabrics. You can view all of our fabrics on our website. The link to our website is below. But we always put washing instructions on there. And that's worth bearing in mind, because if you're making a garment that you want to be able to wear every day, or, you know, have it on strong rotation in your wardrobe, you need to make it with a fabric that's going to be easy to wash and care for and maintain. Whereas if it's something that you're going to be wearing once in a blue moon, you might not be so worried about having to hand wash it. Also, just bear in mind, as we've talked about all the way through the video, that certain fabrics are a little bit more tricky to work with, but what my advice there would be is just invest in some tools, you know, some really good tools. Perhaps one of the most useful bits of sewing arsenal you could ever invest in is a walking foot or an even feed foot. That's because lots of the fabrics I've mentioned today, like the slippery fabrics, so satin, crepe de chine, some of the polyesters, satin back crepe, and then also fabrics like velvet and fabrics like jersey and knit fabrics. All of those fabrics are easier to sew if you've got a walking foot, so that's a great investment from that point of view, and having the right tools will make things a lot easier for you and give you that confidence you need to try some of the newer types of fabric. And then also another little bit of advice is, if you're buying fabric and you're not quite sure what you're going to make with it, but you love it and you've got to have it, it's worth buying 2 to 3 meters, because that will just keep your options open then when you do finally decide what you want to do with it. And then finally, I think, just think about what's already in your wardrobe. Think about, if you're making separates, what will you pair it with, just to make sure that it's going to be worn, you know, and you have got things that go with it. Also, just think about those garments or those outfits that you wear and you feel great and you feel confident and comfortable, and you know, you can use that as a really good starting point as well. So I hope you've enjoyed the video today. I hope you've enjoyed all the information. And as I mentioned at the start of the video, the link to the blog and the blog post with it all summarised is below. There's also a link to our website. If you like what you see, please like and subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.